freshly anointed Division III Hall of Fame inductee LeRoy Gardner, 2003 heavyweight champ at Wartburg. Basically taking it all in, you were honored tonight, inducted into the D3 Hall of Fame. Simple question, how do you feel right now?
I'm humbled. You know, it's a great honor. Like I said in my speech, you know, it's not about me. It's just a reflection of all the people that contributed along the way, and I'm honored that I can pay back. Sort of, you know, someone recognized that I took that mantle up and ran with it, and so they, you know, without them I wouldn't be where I was. You know.
It's a little loud in here as far as with all the festivities going on with Dave Mitchell among others going in.
Yeah.
As far as the team tournament goes, obviously you're a Wartburg night and you're rooting for Jim Miller and his squad. What was it like wrestling at Wartburg on those powerful teams? That's the Luther. Luther's enjoying this. Dave Mitchell's enjoying this.
If you've competed against him, that's not uncharacteristic. Luther's exuberant, if nothing else.
So as far as those powerful Wartburg teams, you know, we're on, and you know, with all the All-Americans National Championships, what was it like to wrestle for Jim Miller?
You know, I'm honored to have ended up wrestling for him. You know, I think if you look back, what most people don't realize is the same team that in 2003 that won was not that much different than the team 3 years prior that got sixth, and that was the worst finish in 10 years. And so having been a part of that program through all of that, you know, it's an honor. I look back and I'm amazed now as I've gotten farther away from being a competitor and in the college environment. I'm more and more amazed and scratch my head going, man, how does he do that? You know, how does that happen every year?
A lot of Luther fans in here tonight.
Yeah.
Where were we?
So either way, you know, what most people don't know is, like I said, the team in 03 that we won when we won the title was not, I think it was 2 people different or 3 people different than the team in 2001 that finished 6th at Nationals. And, you know, having done that whole gamut and wrestled for him, you know, he's just a great motivator. You know, he finds each individual's kind of string and he knows how to pull it. And I'm amazed, like I said, the farther I get away from it, I'm amazed at how he gets that done every year. And you know, it's an honor, man. I feel like it was a privilege to be associated with him and the program he's created there. I'm impressed. The further I get away from him, I'm more impressed. So.
Now, you mentioned you were from Minnesota. There's another prominent Division III team in the Twin Cities. Do you ever consider going for what you might consider now the dark side and wrestling for Augsburg coming out of high school?
Well, I had a list when I was a senior, and again, I started kind of late wrestling. I was like 15 when I started as a sophomore in high school, and so I had a really slim resume. I went 0-2 at our state tournament and got pinned twice in Minnesota, and then proceeded to go out to Fargo, and I got 5th, and that was, you know, that's a big delta from, you know, 0-2 at state to getting 5th at Fargo, and at that time I had a list of schools I was looking at, and it was, you know, basically Minnesota, Iowa, UNI, Wartburg, and Augsburg. And when it all came down to it, you know, I visited, what most people know is I visited Augsburg, sat in front of Coach Swenson and professed things. Hey, you know, I'd like to come wrestle. You know, I wanted to go somewhere where there's a really good team, and you can't deny that they're a great program. You know, so when the time came, you know, he said, hey, yeah, we'd love to have you come. But again, that thin resume, if you look at that team, they like their state champs. And when I came down to Coach Miller, well, I don't doubt Coach Swenson's sincerity. He's a sincere guy, and he would have loved to have me on his team. But when I took my mom's car down to visit Iowa, and deep down I was a Hawkeyes fan. I was a Gable Hawkeyes fan. I went to Gable camp when I was in a sophomore year, my first year wrestler. I went to the intensive camp, and my naivete at that point probably helped me because I didn't know what I was getting into. But I loved it, and so when I drove down to Wartburg and visited, you know, I sat down in front of Coach Miller and told him, hey, you know, here's what I did. And he said, I don't care what you did in high school. I want you to come here and compete as I want you to compete for a national title as a sophomore. That's what he told me. And I said that's all I needed to hear. And so when the time came, you know, I was I was signed, sealed, and delivered before I'd even placed out at Fargo. And by the time that happened, I remember Michigan State called me and asked me could I be a 97-pounder. And I said, well, yeah, have you ever had a one-legged wrestler on your team? And they said no. And I said, because that's the only way I'm making 197. But I appreciate the call. So it was a good rivalry being down there. And hold on.
Looks like your son's having some fun over here. A lot of festivities in here, so it's not just Mitchell that gets in the fun.
It's my wife, my sister, and my son. But that rivalry is great. And when I got a lot of calls over the years when I was wrestling at Wartburg, hey, what are you doing down south, man? Come back home. And if you look back at the record books, the heavyweights at those times for both our programs, I think we got the better of them. But Nick Slack used to call me and tell me, hey, what are you doing down there? Come back. But, I enjoyed it, and it was good. I think I'm kind of more of like a zig when most people zag, and so for me, I kind of like the fact that I did something that most people wouldn't think to do, and go down there to Iowa, and being from the Twin Cities, going to a small town, and my high school class had half the size of student body that Wartburg had, and so, but I enjoyed it. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and so it was a great experience. And I saw Coach Swenson tonight, and he came over and congratulated me, and I think they make us better, we make them better. And I know I wouldn't have gotten where I got without that fire.
So who's going to be better this weekend? Augsburg, Wartburg, or somebody else?
Well, either way, it's going to be tough. I watch out for Co. I wrestled with Dusty Hinchberger. He was on the team. He was a true freshman when I was a senior. And people who know the sport know Dusty's tough as they come, and big Coach Osendorf. Tough guy. And so I'm saying, watch out for them. Don't forget who else in this tournament besides Augsburg and Wartburg. But I know Coach Miller. I know that program. I know what those guys think about this tournament, and I like to believe that they're going to fight for every point. And hopefully, orange and black is on top when it's all said and done. But we'll see, man. I really, I'm anxious to see. I'm glad to be back to see this one. So, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be one of those, but I definitely say watch out for Co. You can never count Augsburg out, but there's a little more parity I feel like this year, and so it's gonna be a tough one. And bonus points will count. You watch some of these early rounds, people who rack up falls. That's gonna be the determining factor come those later rounds. So.